Yo, BJ GADDOUR with the BJ GADDOUR Podcast. I'm the former fitness director for the Men's Health brand, and this is another part of the 3-hour plus conversation with Jeremy Scott of the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast. Both Jeremy and I have been in the fitness game for the last 20 plus years, literally at the start, the infancy of online fitness, social media, all that stuff. And we discuss really what has been a troubling trend or just kind of an overall malaise and what looks to be a kind of general collapsing of the fitness industry. We're going to talk about obviously the sensational fall of Peloton and kind of how it looks like fitness is more and more something maybe that's just for the rich. Obviously, we'd love to hear your opinions on that as well. But really, it's just a discussion on really the changing landscape and you know, is this something that even makes sense as a viable career path moving forward? So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the other parts of the episode. Lots of different stuff we talked about, but man, it's not looking good in the fitness space, I'll tell you that. Shifting from basketball to Peloton, and overall, like, I guess fitness,
the economy in general.
The economy. We won't get into politics, but obviously there's all that tumult on the way as well with an election season. But I recently texted you an article. I mean, there's been anytime I get Peloton news, it just excites me because it's always bad news. But, and again, we joked about too, like we rarely wish, you know, because we're business owners. At least I think I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see at the end of the year. But the reality is it's tough, and you never want to see someone go out of business. And there's always exceptions to that rule, in my opinion, especially when it's just like it's just a conglomerate, a marketing machine, you know, that just like does everything, in my opinion, the wrong way. It's, you know, celebrity focused, influencer focused. You know, it's fitness for the rich. It's big fitness, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't want to interrupt you, but you did send me the I think you sent to me and David Jack. That wasn't Lifetime. Did you send me the Lifetime membership thing, or was that not you? It was like to be a member to get this, like, maybe it wasn't you.
Oh no, it was Equinox. Equinox had that new, like,
but it was like, was it a year 20 grand or more?
I think it was
a lot.
4,000 a month.
So like 50 G's a year. It was something crazy.
Yeah.
I would do, like, you would meet with a trainer, you get like one massage every so often, like, you could talk with a nutritionist, all this bullshit stuff. Not bullshit, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 50 grand.
Yeah, no, and that's, again, this is what happens with, you know, again, that's why we're talking about what's happening in the fitness industry, but this is kind of across the board, right? Where the middle gets squeezed, and all you can then really look to offer are discounted or free stuff for the masses, and you know, like inflated prices for the rich who won't even feel it. And that's kind of where you see some trends going, right? Like, you know, and all they're doing is taking advantage of all the things that Equinox has to offer and just putting it together in this kind of irresistible package, this holistic package. And they even have like some things with, like, you know, because again, I don't mean to like make fun of people, but it's like, it's really easy to like, and I sent you a YouTube video today and of this huge YouTube guy in fitness, and he just claims that everything he does is through science, whatever the fuck that means. So you take one research study and use it as an example of what you're talking about in your video, and suddenly your fitness shit is based through science. You know, so biometric stuff, that just tricks people into thinking that, oh, this is like an advanced program. It's like what I need. This is what I'm missing because it's going to give me some fucking numbers, stuff that I can't see when I look at myself in the mirror or when I bend over to pick something up on how I feel. Like, to me, it's just like, you know, again, but part of that too is you and I are so far removed from what someone who is deciding today to make a change in their health and fitness and where to start, right? And that's honestly, like, that's the unfortunate part of like the track you and I are on, is that it just gets more and more difficult to to understand what that's like the longer we're doing this, and and I guess the best way you can relate to that is to try to take on new experience outside of fitness and think, oh yeah, this must be what it's like. Like if I'm trying to build something and I'm not a builder, this sucks. How do I start?
You don't know where to start, and you're listening to, again, it's why you can't listen to 10 podcasts, dude. Like it's way too much information. Even if you could, what can you do with all the information? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking moron on go, but I can't listen to 10 different things of like, this has to be part of your morning routine, your evening routine, or do these things throughout your day. I have the bandwidth that's only so much to do what I can do in my life, to take care of my family and all the things that I have to do outside of just like exercise. Yet you're loading these people up. Like, you got to do all these things, even the trackers, right? Like I'll wear one, I do it to do the sleep. And it's just like a guide, even though, and sometimes I'll be awake and it's like, cause I'm just chilling super hard. It's like, you're asleep. And I'm like, no, actually I'm not, fuckface. Or it said like, you slept really good, but I wake up and I feel like a bag of shit. So it's like, you take the things, they're tools and they're meant to be used in a certain way, but not to essentially use you. And that's what people are doing, where it's like, it's just this abundance of, you're just getting drowned. And I'm going to go back to the Equinox thing you sent me, all the stuff they listed, you have to be a fitness person to even like, to comprehend all that stuff. Meaning like, you have to already love the gym and like love this process. That's not something that somebody just walks into. Even if you're like somebody who's obviously rich and you have disposable income, you're not going to go from like not exercising to, okay, now I'm going to, unless you're just an all or nothing person and that's your mentality. But I doubt it. If you're 46 years old and you're like, you know what, I'm a bag of shit. Now I want to be super fit. I'm going to meet with a trainer twice a week. I'm going to meet with a massage person once a week. I'm going to meet with this nutritionist. I'm going to get access to this and this and this. And like, you really would have to have somebody like hold your hand and walk you through all of that stuff. That's not like when we talk about like what you do every day, and we'll get into it, and like what I do, that didn't happen overnight. What I do at, in my 40s is nowhere near what I did when I was 25. I still exercise and there's movements that are the same. I go, but they're two different. That's a fucking 20-year progression of trial and error and learning my body as I go. And you're just throwing these people kind of into that, and they have no clue where to start. And now I couldn't imagine, because when we started, it was, let me read Muscle and Fitness, watch Pumping Iron, and just, have Rocky play as my motivation. Like, that was how we did fitness. Now it's like, there's you, there's me, there's 10,000 other people, plus the corporate bullshit that's essentially paralyzing these people to have no clue even where to begin on the journey.
Yeah, man. And again, like, you see an offering like that, and then you see just the Peloton example, right? And again, like, they kind of are, you can consider them a bellwether, I guess, right? That they're kind of a leader in terms of a household name in fitness, streaming, but they're like on the side of like all the negative trends. Like streaming, it's not dying. It's not going to die, but like there's too many streamers. So they're going to all get collected, and there's going to be a couple big streamers by the end of this, probably, like it always seems to happen. But stock price went from like, don't quote me on this, but I sent it to like $160 to $2.
I think it was under $2. It was crazy. It was a crazy number. It was like it was super high. And I'm like, Jesus. Cause then I think it was like I don't know if she was the CFO or she was the CCO or something. It was like, she sold off most of her shit, or all of her stock.
Yeah, invested 90% of her stock. And then they're also now, again, but this always happens, right? You see it happen at ESPN. And if you were watching the NBA Finals broadcast, it was not like it was last year in terms of entertainment. And you get cheap with talent, and they're getting cheap with their talent. Their instructors are now leaving, and I'm sure they think, oh no, it's the bike that's going to keep people here in the tech. And no, it's the people, it's the personalities that are going to drive, like it always has in fitness. So it's just like, it's that same story again, like where you just see all that writing on the wall, and someone will come and eat them up, and they'll probably always remain a player in that space in some way, but it's going to probably change pretty dramatically.
No, they'll limp along. I mean, cause I text Dave Jack and you, I go, I'm surprised it took that long, honestly. And I really am. Cause it's not a knock on them. And maybe cause I'm not a fan. Like, we ride the bikes here, like in the increments we do. You know, like if we do longer stuff, it's like we do like a 5K or something, or a 10K on the bike. Like a 10K on the erg bike here is like 20 minutes if you're fast. And we do that as part of like a protocol, and it sucks, dude. It's fucking super boring. I don't love it. Even if there was a screen on and it was playing fucking Dark Knight Rises, like it's only cool for so long. And the fact that people bought these overpriced bikes with a bunch of tech on it, don't take this the wrong way, anybody. It's not what fit people do. Like, it's not what athletes do, bro. And I don't mean like an old guy like me. I mean, like Tyreek Hill is not getting on a fucking Peloton, dude, to get super fit. You know, Deion Sanders was not getting on a Peloton, like to become Deion Sanders. Like, and I know you're not trying to be that. I go, but you are. You're trying to be your version of Deion Sanders. You're trying to be the fittest version of you. And it's just, again, I sitting in flexion all day after sitting in flexion all day just doesn't seem like a smart take. So the fact that it made it essentially, what is it, 5 years? Give or take. When did Peloton start? 2019, 2018, or before?
I mean, they were, I want to say mid 20 teens, like.
But then it's 2020 is when it fucking went, because we're COVID bullshit, and it got.
Yeah, and by the way, that was the whole. As I think I texted you too, the zero interest rate phenomenon, right? Just the dangers of that, where you just get you oversupply. So they made so much equipment. And by the way, this is happening across all fitness equipment. Like fitness equipment, right? No one's buying fitness equipment. No one's buying. Like, I'm just telling you right now, like, dude, like, I've made some incredible fitness content with some equipment lately, and it's getting 10% of what it used to be in terms of what type of sales or interest it would. The interest is there, but the sales are a tenth of what they were in 2018, 2019. No one's buying clothes. No one is, I mean, people have dramatically shifted the way they're approaching kind of meals and entertainment. We were talking about, like, obviously when I did that whole men's health piece, I was on the cover, and they did a kind of whole intro story of like my weekly cheat meal at Five Guys. I still love Five Guys, but I can get 2 or 3 InNOut meals for one Five Guys meal. In this economy, like, I hadn't had InNOut in a while. I'm like, I might have to work this back into the rotation more. I had the double animal style, protein style, and then I got the fries well done animal style. I almost came in my pants. It really was. It was the end of a long day. We went to the beach. I had like 6 hours of driving. It just hit, and like $20 for 2 people. This is like, and it's fresh. I'm not saying this is a quote unquote healthy meal, but like, I can fit it in, you know, and it's only $20, bro. And I know you get the gift cards.
Well, yeah, Heather's account is InNOut Burger. She loves it. I mean, I do like it. I'll always ask her too, because like I'll go, like if I go once a week or something, it's probably the place I'll go. If we don't do something different, just because it's like it's easy, it's fast, whatever. They do, and it's real food still. And it's consistency, man. It's always legit. And I'm like, do you want anything? She'll be like, no. And then like, you know, I'll be sitting in the fucking drive-through line. It's like my phone comes in. She's like, can I get a cheeseburger protein style with grilled onions? This, I'm like, always, dude. And like, do you want any fries? She'll say no, but I always order them because she'll just pick up my shit anyway. That's what your wife will do. Super annoying. I'm like, if I order my fries, these are mine. These are not for you.
And they're not like Five Guys where you get like a lot of fries plus a lot of extra ones in the bag. I mean, that's the one thing. But what I'll say about InNOut, they give you the right portion sizes.
Yeah, and again, it is. If we're talking economy shit, I remember going to Five Guys with you, and this was before the world, before they fucked it and printed all the money. Dude, Five Guys, I would order Five Guys, and it would be like, my bill for me would be like $28, like for me, me alone. And I'm like, this is, and I can't imagine what it is now. It's got to be substantially more. And I go, this is fast food. Like, what? That's why I look, and again, that's not a knock on Peloton or anybody, but they're fucked. If your goal was to A, get people to keep the subscription, but 2, sell them at whatever the bike costs, $2,000 or $2,500. You sent me the precision nutrition thing. I'm actually on their email list too. And I saw that buy one, get one off for everything, where you're looking at people's spending habits. Like, we see it on our stuff too, like across the board for everything, where it's like, it's a weird space. Again, you can see I've been saying this for a long time. All these things, I'm not a genius. I'm an idiot that works in a warehouse. What do I know? But I do get to work with some super rich fucking people who are super smart and see things that I don't see, and they see trends and track things that I don't track. And to all their surprise, like it's shocking that it's went on this long. Like that this shit show of like people just blowing money and doing shit has went on, because how everything is exponentially so much more, like everything. And that's why I'm gonna get on the depressing soapbox here again. I have these kids that work for me, 30 years old, 27 years old. And I was like, Jeremy, I want to do what you did. And I'm like, it can't be done. I don't want to be, it cannot be replicated what this is. It's not a, to go through like the era of time and like, excuse me, like rebuy your house and do all the things like in just the time that like you lived in when you're talking about people buying equipment or just social in general. Like, and I always go back to the social stuff because Facebook was just like your friends. And when the feed was done with your 10 friends, the feed just stopped. So when, Ricky ate tacos today, that was it. And you're done and you went on with your life. And your Instagram was like just your friends. Now, dude, when I go on, which is very rare, I'll take gaps in the day where there's 5 hours or not when I don't have my phone by me just because I can't fucking stand it anymore. It's like the feed on Instagram is just filled with nonsense. Like it's giving me dog videos or whatever, but it's an algorithm of just trying to keep me on there. It's not something I even follow. It's like all just suggested shit. And I'm like, this is not what I want to do. And then you look at how your stuff does versus how it used to do. It's the most painful thing to watch. It's like everyone's attention is pulled in 8,000 directions. And so even the things that you follow and want to see are not the things that you are following and seeing anymore, which makes everybody else's job exponentially harder. And I think all of the companies, from a PN, from a Peloton, from whoever, they're all feeling that because there's 8,000 options. Even the fitness equipment, I'll probably just pick up the back extension Nordic Ham thing that you have and just send me the code. I'll actually buy it because it looks cool. And I have the money. Yeah, I have the money to fucking blow. So I don't give a shit, but it's a business expense and it's fine. For a normal person to go drop $300, $400, $500 on something, you gotta like, you have to be, you're as close to a fitness person as I am, other than running a business. If you're gonna buy that shit, like in this world that we live in now, where I think 5 or 6 years ago it was a little bit different.
See, that's why this is so unique. I mean, because the last time, let's say 2008 was the last worst time for the economy, right? And that was a serious, like we were on verge of a global financial collapse.
Yes.
But there were an incredible amount of opportunities in the fitness space, group training, boot camps, online, education, all this stuff. But now, as you talk about like coming into the industry now, people aren't buying apparel or merch. They're not buying equipment. There frankly are really good free offerings now for programming and workouts, and there's so many. And streaming now is oversaturated. And, on top of that, people, their motivation is low. And, again, like they're not feeling good, right? There's not a lot of confidence. So even if like you're diversified right now, like I'll just be honest, bro, like I've ebbed and flowed with my motivation to want to do this for a living. But this is the first time in my 20 plus years of doing this where I'm wondering if I can make a living doing this moving forward, a true living, a living that I want to do just because of the amount of time that has to go into it. And then how much smaller the return is on that amount of time as compared to what it used to be. It's like, this isn't a smart investment of time. So I'm always going to do it for myself. And I'll always leverage what we have, or maybe it does become a side hustle. And then I go with another approach for things moving forward. I'm saying this is the first time, like where truly, and that's not even factoring in the AI component and what that's going to look like in 3 to 5 years. And you know what? Like, it's easy to get swallowed up by it, but at the end of the day, like I have never been more into it for myself, which is what this is all about in the beginning anyway. Like I got into this to subsidize my love for this and my desire to take care of my body in the best way I can. One of the few things you can control. And, you know, obviously I've got the arthritis I'm dealing with now. But you know, again, like, it just, so what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm not letting it overwhelm me. Because again, it is like, technically I'm doing all the right things. And I think a lot of other people are too. It's just, if you've diversified, and you're used to bringing in 5 different things, but all those things are now being negatively impacted by the state of the economy and just where people are. And like you said, like, you could always at least depend on trainers to buy, but this is the unfortunate, because it's an ecosystem, trainers aren't getting fed. So they're not investing in themselves the way they used to with regards to education and their own training, their own equipment. And you know, things are troublesome too when people aren't buying supplements, because these are the quick fixes that, like, take no time, that make people feel good about themselves. Even that now is dipping. So, you know, again, like, this isn't meant to be like I just think it's important to say it, because I've talked to people, a lot of, like, honestly, I can think about 20 people at the top of my head that are like high performers in this space. And everyone they speak to, and also themselves, like, this is like new territory that we've entered to in the fitness space. And it's scary, but at the same time, like, I guess the only thing that frightens me is I don't know what else I would do, because I don't enjoy, I don't want to get into the people business. You know what I mean? Like, I like working remotely. And again, this is part of too, like, maybe the only thing good about the pandemic is that the cat's out of the bag. Now, like, remote work is like a standard of most new jobs or types of things or careers. But again, it's just fascinating. I'm going to keep doing my thing. I've never worked harder. I've never gotten more content out. I can't depend on the people out there anymore. That's the thing. It's like, that's the unfortunate thing, is you can't depend on people anymore.
No, it's a weird, again, it's the same gif I share when I talk about this in most things. And I try to be, like, optimistic, because, like, if you go historically, like, this is a great time to be alive. Like, you know, I'm not out, you know, fighting the fucking Apache and shit. And I'm not, like, you know, Genghis Khan isn't coming to cut my head off. And, you know, if you go back to, like, when the Bible was written, people were probably, life expectancy was probably like 30, you know, so you're past all those things. And we all live like kings, you know, comparable to, you know, like my grandpa's getting fucking dropped off to fight a war and he's 18. You know, I'm not doing that shit. So, like, you know, every generation becomes a bigger pussy than the generation before. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but it's just the truth. Like, my dad's tougher than me. His dad's tougher than him. It's just the circumstance in life and whatever. But in terms of the economical shit show that you are living in, this is not, it's like, it's the gif I share is the Titanic, when the guy's just playing music and the whole ship is just sinking. He's like, just enjoy the band, bro, as the ship goes down. Because that's the way I have to see it, because I haven't heard anybody, like, talk through a good way out of it. Because it's just, if you understand, like, fiat currency and how it works, it's just like, the more money you print, the more you devalue it. It limits your purchasing power. Even if you make, you know, 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand a year, you should be, like, super fucking rich. Like, the amount of money that I make, I should be like, you know, I should own 10 houses. I go, but I don't. I own, you know, one, and I have some properties. But, like, it's not nearly like, if you told me that when I was 20, I'd be like, bro, the game has changed. Like, this is, dude, I remember being in I've showed this in here before, like, our first space down the street, we were in that space for 7.5 years. So this is 2009, like, right after the world melts. We start Jeremy Scott Fitness essentially in a park first, then in this building with no air conditioning. I ran this business. Like, let me say this, everybody. Like, when you talk about coming into the space and coming into, like, Jeremy, I want to do kind of what you do, or I want to get into fitness. I started this in parks, bro. And I live in the fucking desert where it's 120 degrees. So I did this in a building with no air conditioning for 7.5 years and had 150 to 200 members on reoccurring paying me. That could never happen again today. If I get somebody to walk in here and the air's not on, they'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with this? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that can't be a thing. So that's the environment that we came up in. But two, economically, it was way friendlier. And I remember I said, if I get 100 people just to pay me $100 a month, that's $10,000 a month. even if I got to pay 5 out and I could make $5,000, and this is, I'm 25, 6 years old. If I could make $5,000 a month, I'm like, that would be the greatest fucking thing ever, because that $5,000 in 2010 went so far. Now it's like $5,000 is like, what, this is fucking, I got to really like budget and focus and do, like, that's how much it's shifted and changed. And that's why I say, like, I don't know where it goes, but it's a weird thing. And like, we know fitness is something that people cut. They shouldn't. I go, but it becomes a luxury. You know, fitness equipment becomes a luxury, or the clothes I wear, like all the little things and what people prioritize and don't. And the reason I say it's a weird, because it's seasonal here, like where we live. So it's always been like slower in the summertime. But, and this is not a knock on people, and if you're a member, we love you. I'm not trying to talk shit about you, but I'm going to talk shit here. You know, like, hey, can I, you know, hey, my net worth is $15 million. Can I pause my gym membership in July? Like, so I can go stay at my, you know, beach house in California that cost me $30,000 a month. Yeah, sure, dude. We'll pause your fucking $300 membership at Jeremy Scott Fitness so you can blow 30 G's on your fucking dream summer vacation, you know, and you come back on your jet. Well, I eat shit here. And that's, you know, me being the angry, you know, middle-aged business owner. But the reality is that does happen. And that's happened more this year at scale than I've ever seen before. So meaning, A, they prioritize me like at the bottom of the fucking barrel. Someone, oh, we love you. We love to see you. You're always here. Sure you do, until it's not convenient for you. But even those people are starting to look at little things in their budget, like where they can save money. And that's something that has happened, but not at a clip that I've seen before. So it makes sense to me when I watch the Pelotons of the world or the Precision Nutritions of the world and these other companies just really eat it. And it's, yeah, I don't know. It's got to crack. I just don't know what does or when it does, but something has to go. And to your point, as you just, in any career, I think for people who are listening and you work, it's to keep the same motivation forever is tough, for one, even if you love it, especially when the return is not there, whatever the return like looks like. And I probably get a better one than most people because of all the things that we do here. So people would just reply, like send a random email to me like, hey man, listen, I haven't listened to your podcast in 10 months. And I just listened to you talk about your diet, which really wasn't about diet, but it was. And like, oh my God, it changed my life. Thank you. Like, oh, there's really nice things. And it just happened yesterday. That's why I thought of it. And most people don't get that in this space. And so that's just, and I share that not to make me sound like I'm great, because I'm not, because I didn't even want to do the fucking podcast, but I'm like, I'm a robot. So I just fucking, I do, you know. You ever seen the movie Beekeeper with Jason Statham? He just goes. He doesn't, it's actually, it's what you think it is, but you watch, it's like, he goes until the job is finished. He's a bee. He works and works and works until he dies. That's who the fuck I am. And I share that just for the fact of, he sent that email yesterday and I showed it to Heather, and I'm like, that's a little bit of oxygen. It's just a little bit more just to, okay, I guess I'll do the podcast with BJ Sunday. If I get enough, I guess I'll do one for the next week and the next week. Now there has to be monetary things there because it's a business and this makes money, but you have to get those little wins in anything you do in life, whether it's your fitness or your career or whatever. Because if you don't get those, all it is you're just taking fucking L's every day. Like you're just waking up to like diminishing returns or romanticizing of how it was before, and now you're dealing with like this environment. I think that's what a lot of people kind of go through in any career or any part of life, where it's like you can only take so many fucking L's in a row before you have to get like a couple of wins just to keep the motivation going. Because in all reality, I was here yesterday. We do the groups in the morning, and I typically work on the Saturdays. For how long, who knows? But Heather's like, do you want to film some stuff? And I'm like, no, but I will. Like my answer was no. I didn't even like, usually I just think it in my head and then I say something else, but I'm like, no, I don't want to fucking film these fucking videos today. I'm like, but I need to have some stuff. So like, let's sit here and film it. Where years ago it would have been like, yeah, I got this really cool idea. It's exciting. I want to share it, because there was just more, it would do better. And what I mean by do better was more people would actually see it who want to see it. And now it's like, even the people who want to see it aren't seeing it, because I'm getting the messages, oh, I haven't seen your shit in 6 months and I just went on your stuff and you've been sharing stuff the whole time. It's like, well, yeah, dude, like this machine didn't fucking turn off. I go, but the metric by which you try to look at it, like doesn't show it at the same clip it used to. And that, for anybody who creates and who puts stuff out there, that's tough. And so it's like, you have to have an email list, you have to have your website, you have to have all the things, but it's just there's just so much noise out there. So you have to just have these diehard fans to keep going over and over and over again. And that's a really tough thing to do for people, especially if it's only digital, because it's just this one-way street. If not getting feedback, it's hard to gauge, what is doing well, what is working. I don't mean views and clicks. I mean like what things are converting in terms of money and people are using and liking. And you get such a small percentage of that feedback back from the people who actually see and use your stuff. There's people who watch your shit every day. They watch all the pool shit you do. They watch all the sled stuff. You just saw a video the other day. It was like 40 some sled drills or some crazy fucking shit, which had to take an insane amount of time to do, to film, to process. I go, I'll watch it. And I might like it or whatever, but I'm historically terrible at that. But how many people have watched that video and actually used it and thought it was great, but didn't say shit to you about it? And yet you need to still be motivated on the other side to do it, even though it's not converting into like sales and memberships. And that's a tough place to be for anybody in business.
And by the way, like, I hope people listening are not taking this. You and I, we always give the real, right? This is just like real life. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. I mean, the reality is, I think it's very easy. It's safe to say fitness is not a good business to be in. It's not recession proof. It's seasonal, and it will always be considered a luxury. And it is unfortunately something that seems to be more for the rich because they have more time and resources and all that stuff. I don't make the fucking rules. I've been in this business at a high level for a very long time. And so, yeah, you're trying to get into a business like this. I don't know. It's not a good business. Now, we both got into it because it was a passion. Had I had this information presented to me 20 plus years ago, coming out of a good college with a degree and an easy way to make a lot more money, I don't know what I would have done. It would have been probably helpful to know that information, but at least people listening now, this is, you got to really get into this for the right reasons now more than ever, because it is not a good business model. And it depends on you finding a way, especially if you're doing it online. You've got to find a way to create real connections with people through a screen. And it's tough to do it in person. It's tough to do it in person. So now, that all being said, like you mentioned the sled video. And again, like people don't realize what goes into each thing that gets made. That took just to film the movements took a couple hours out here in the desert heat. To edit the video took me a half day. Then I got to make a thumbnail. I got to get it up and post it. And what I will say about and it goes out and maybe 300 people see it. And again, it'll age well, because no one else has made a 47 sled exercise video because, they would never waste their time. But most of my career, I've gotten a pretty good return on just like, if I put the effort out there, if I do the inputs, I get the outputs. This has been the first stretch of my career where that's not the case. But I'm finally now at a point where, like in the past, I would have put all this time and effort into a video like that. I would put it out there and it would have like devastated me, bro, because like, again, it's so much time, and it's a single video. But I'm like so numb to it. Like I expect nothing. I like this first time in my life, I expect nothing from my work. I expect nothing from it. But except for the work I do for myself, because I always get a return on that. But I expect nothing for the stuff I put out there to the world because I'm just conditioned to it now. There's nothing's coming back. And whatever's coming back is a fraction of what it was. Whatever it was. And again, I'm not whining or complaining, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm doing the work.
It's just facts.
It's just facts. So that, and again, if we consider this a period of famine or drought, and where I've looked at a lot of the stuff now, it's, the seeds you plant in drought. That's really my whole motto now. I'm putting seeds out there. A lot of this stuff might not germinate for 3 to 5 years plus, if ever, but all I can do is plant seeds. That's all I can do. And finally, really just like the high I get is when I look at this thing and I'm just checking these boxes off. That's the high. That's my dopamine now. Like in the past, this would do nothing for me, but I'd have to get like comments or stuff. But now I'm numb to the comments or how something performs because again, like it truly is out of my control. And it just, again, like I'm now just so committed to the process. So whether I continue to be in this space and at this level or it becomes a side hustle or I just exit it altogether at some point, I'm going to bring these habits and this process and the numbness to performance and the high is just through the process. And that's going to be great. That's because that's for the first time in my life, I'll have achieved that. And then if things ever get good again and get, somewhat easier, I'm going to have to remember to not, oh, by the way, it's taught me to live leaner than ever. And that's also great to find, happiness without having to actually spend money. That's not easy either. I think a lot of us probably during the pandemic tried to spend our way through the depression, right? And then at some point you can't, money to spend or your credit cards are way beyond what they should be. How do I find a way now to find contentment and happiness and generate dopamine by just living life day to day? And that's, I think, where a lot of people are too, is just finding that struggle of like, just being okay with a nice average day that was very similar to yesterday.
Yeah, it's tough, especially if you're a person who's like an achiever personality, and we keep stats of everything, so everything is tracked. There's metrics. It's why if you work at a normal job, you don't really like what you do, or maybe it's not like your true passion, but you're just good at it and you have some talent, and the money's never enough because even if you get a raise every year, that number just keeps escalating forever. Especially if you don't really enjoy it, like, we'll pay you $100,000, we'll pay you 150, we'll pay you 200, and then you could get to these crazy numbers and you'd be like, yeah, but I still need more. And you're just kind of always chasing, because you don't enjoy the day-to-day life that you're obviously living. And to your point, yes, most people, everything needs to be I need to take again, it's my problem with social media. Like, oh, everybody else is taking great vacations. Everybody else is crushing. Yeah, bro, but like, it's all bullshit. Like, all the shit you see is horse shit. Like, I always say this too, and I said this a couple weeks ago on the podcast. Like, wealth to me, if you're talking like money shit, like, wealth is not like what you see. It's what you don't see. Like, I don't see, like, when you drive a super nice car, like, I don't know what the payment is. I don't know if you own it, you lease it, whatever. Or if you wear, I don't know shit about designer clothes. Like, if you wear Gucci shirts or you got a certain kind of fucking bag, like, I don't know what your credit card bill is. Like, that, it's not what I can't, it's stuff I can't see. Like, if you actually own your home, if you actually have your bills paid, if you actually have, investment properties, if you have things that make your life easier, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't care what the fuck it is. I'm like, but does the money make your life easier? Do you have a better lifestyle because of the money that obviously you've made? And that's a tough thing to get to people too, especially when you do like live in excess and you do all these crazy things. And it's not to say like fitness is the worst industry. Like, this is what I've done, given my entire adult life to it. But you have to like love doing it. And what I mean is, like, you have to be a fitness person and not just a person who likes to work out and exercise. Like, meaning you like to create it and deliver it and give it to other people in a way that excites them and gets them to keep doing it over and over and over again. It's, for whatever reason, like these Sundays here that we do now have turned into this weird thing where it used to just be my workout. Now it's like, it's kind of like I'm working, even though like I just work out with them. But it's this creative thing that I give them, and we put the workout together today and it's there. And then I sit there and I realize, like, and they always say, oh, it's always so fun. And that was one of the worst ones, but really means one of the best ones. And you get these fucking lunatics who have like kids and jobs, and they come in here and they just fucking die. Like, they're just literally, you're coming in here and you're dying a slow death, and they like love it. And it's fucking really weird. And I'm kind of weird in the same way, but I'll create it and they're like, oh, that was awesome. And then I realized, like, oh, you guys couldn't do this. Like, you guys couldn't have created this. Your brain doesn't work the same way mine does. You would come in here and wouldn't know what the fuck to do. You'd have to copy some old shit that I did. And that is a gift. And you do have it, and you can give it to somebody, but you have to love it to do that for a decade or 2 decades. And it can't just be motivated by solely money. Like, there has to be something else in there, like the pride of it or whatever the fuck it may be. Because when we did start doing this, it wasn't a money thing. It was, I don't want to hate my fucking job and life thing. And then along the way, you figured out, oh, I actually can make money, and I can kind of, support a lifestyle and do it. But starting out, yeah, everything is different, and everything is, it's in a weird space. I couldn't imagine. I guess I'm thankful that I did it when I got to do it, and I was born in the time I was born in, or however you want to say it. Because yeah, it'd be a little bit strange if I was trying to just start a YouTube page today. Not that you can't do it. There's going to be people who do it and crush. But that is a full-time job. Like, that is not a fuck around like half-time. I'm going to start a gym. Okay, cool, bro. Open up a space, buy the equipment, invest $500,000 into it. It's like, that's a big ask, man, of your wife or your husband or your family, whoever, to go into that much debt, since you probably don't have the fucking money to do fitness for a living. Like, because you're going to be married to that shit. Like, for better or worse, like, your wife is married to what the fuck you do, and at whatever level, until you don't want to do it. And mine is the same way. Like, they reap all the benefits, but you're also stuck. You don't like they get to get it on parole, or they're like on work release, right? Like, we're in a prison no matter what. Like, and I don't mean that in a negative way, kind of, but not really. Like, you're in a prison and I'm in a prison of that we created ourselves, because our fucking name is on it and we are it. Even though as much as we leverage the other people, it is always, us. They're married to it in the same sense, except they get on a work release and they can go do some fun shit and they can forget about it for a little bit. And then they see you, and then they're right back in prison again. And that's like, if you're in this business, like at any kind of entrepreneurial thing, like, you have to know that, like, your partner and you are committed to that. So anybody who's listening, I don't care if you run a fucking bakery or a coffee shop or you do landscaping, whatever, your partner is going to be married to it at some level, whether they like it or not. Like, they're in it with you. And that's fitness is probably one of the greatest examples of that, because you actually live it in how you eat, how you train, how you sleep, how you look. It does follow you everywhere you go, which is probably unique to us.
Yeah, man. And again, like, and these challenges, by the way, are not just within fitness, it's across the board. So, hopefully what people take out of it is, again, like, for years I heard that, just fall in love with the process. And it's like, what does it even fucking mean? Now I know. And you know what? It's the same process that I had to fall in love with for my own fitness too. Because it is the same, mostly the same inputs day in, day out. And, and by the way, a good benefit of getting older is, like, you tend to fall in love more with routine than you do when you're young. Novelty and newness tends to win the day when you're younger. As you get older, routine really becomes a bedrock. And that's the process. So just focus on the process of whatever it is that you do, and just keep checking those boxes. And, I've said this a long, long time, keep showing up. Eventually be the last person left in the room. And even if that room is getting filled with water, you'll be the last one to drown. So
you're surviving. Exactly.